Jim, this is why I wanted to have you on, because you take a holistic approach to the human being. And I love the fact that you're so successful in business and yet you see, the humanity of it, and you've built this giant family. I'm wondering what is next for you. Do other franchise systems around the world look to you and how you've done it and take your approach? Are you going to do some training colleges or something? I don't know. You've got something very unique here.
Well, they should, but they don't want to. The absolute extreme opposite case is something like Retail Food Group, where they basically just exploit the franchisees, rip everything off them they can, overcharge them. They charge them double. You've got to buy from us and pay double what you pay from Coles.
Right.
It's the opposite extreme because it's all driven by short-term thinking. But of course, it's been utterly disastrous because they basically crushed and destroyed the businesses they took over.
Yes.
All of them are going down whereas we're obviously rising. People should listen. But, what we do at Jim's is incredibly radical. No franchise system in the world does this. I mean, just to give you an example, our franchisees can move to a different franchisor if they want to. No questions asked. It's up to the franchisor, accepts them. Their own franchisor has no sense. So a franchisor has to look after them because they're clients.
Yes.
They can vote out their franchisor.
That's unheard of.
Unheard of. And they do. It does happen. It happened actually last week. We had one group of franchisees vote out their franchise. And the franchisor's going to sell at a fair price.
Yeah.
They're not confiscation.
Yeah.
But who else can do that? Our franchisees and our franchisors can veto changes to their own manual.
Wow.
So we can't impose things on them unless they agree to it. Now, if the majority agree, the minority is bound. But the automatic right of renewal after 10 years, unless they're non-compliant, we cannot fail to. I mean, all this stuff. Some of it was in the contract in the beginning. A lot of it's come in since then as we've given franchisees more power.
So you've effectively turned the pyramid of authority on its head. In MBAs now, they've moved from transactional leadership to transformational leadership. They're talking a lot now about servant leadership. And, I've been saying this a lot, that the political office is really an office of servanthood, and the greatest political office should be the greatest servant of all. You're really following that principle of serving your staff, your franchise, and importantly, the customer is at the top of your hierarchy.
No, sorry.
No?
My franchisees are my top.
They're your top, okay.
Our first priority is the welfare of franchisees. We're also passionate about customer service. Now, I don't see any contradiction. In fact, franchisees get very upset at me because I'm so tough on customer service. But as I say to them, it's not because customers are more important to you than you. It's because my priority is you.
Right.
And if we give great service to customers, then you're going to get all the work you want at the best price you want. Right. So I'm doing it for your sake. Okay. Now what we've done, for example, 3 years ago, we bought in a system of surveys where we actually survey customers, and about 30% of our customers are good enough to reply. And we use that to feedback. We feed into complaints. We feed back into awards and so forth. That's had a transformational effect. Our level of actual complaints has gone down dramatically since we've been doing that. But the interesting thing that's happened is that actual leads have gone through the roof. In fact, our leads now are running at about 30% of our leads are unserviced normally, which is extraordinary. And you might think that's because of extra advertising, but no, in fact, in a lot of situations, we have to give back chunks of advertising to the franchisees because we can't spend it. I've got a region in fencing region. I'm going to give back about $60,000 to my franchisees for unspent advertising. I say, guys, I can't spend it. It's your money. Take it back.
Yeah, okay.
We've given hundreds of thousands of dollars back because we can't spend the advertising because our guys are busy year round, and yet we're 30% unserviced. Now, what that means is that our franchisees can, because one thing I tell my franchisees too, if you're talking about customers versus franchisees, I tell my franchisees really strongly, because I'm always the first speaker in the franchisee training course. I said, you give great service. I tell you why. To be more successful, you have to do it. You have to do this, ring them back promptly, send a text if you can't get through. All the stuff that you're supposed to do. Delight and amaze the customer. But then I say one thing is, don't be cheap. Look, whatever anybody's charging, add at least 10%.
A lot of people say this. Why do you say that?
Because my franchisee is number one. Because ultimately my franchisee's welfare is what's going to determine everything, and that's morally speaking and financially speaking, because our growth is not limited by clients, it's limited by franchisees. We could have double as many fencing franchisees as we have, and we still wouldn't be able to cope with the demand for our services.
See, this is surprising because you're not taking a strong capitalist bent on the customer as king. You're actually taking more of a, I don't know if you can say socialist approach, but you've got this big family thing going on. How would you advise other businesses to take some of that into their, what can they do to copy that?
Who's the one that says it's only the stakeholders that count? The only stakeholders that count are the people, the shareholders.
Yeah.
I just fundamentally disagree with that. I think it's not only immoral, not to look at your other stakeholders, like your employees
Yep.
or your clients, or in our case, franchisees. It's also stupid that the best companies are actually those that look after their stakeholders too. And having the frame of mind that says only the owners matter
Yes.
is immoral, but it's dumb. I don't like upset customers, but getting a franchisee who's been badly treated is the thing that gets me really, really upset. And you know, I'm not a nice person always. Franchisors can sometimes get very irate at me because I really will take the franchisee's part if I see them as being badly treated.
Right.
But it benefits us in so many ways too. I mean, one of the things I'm very proud of, we've got nearly 4,000 franchisees over 30 years. Do you know how many times I've actually been to court with any of my franchisees?
It's like 3 or 4 times, isn't it?
3 times.
That's ridiculously low.
Once with the franchisee in the early stages, and we wanted a total refund for some insane reason. Another 2 times with franchisors, both of whom I actually settled by giving them exactly what I'd offered them in the first place.
It's unheard of.
We virtually never go to court. Well, you see, we just you treat people decently, and you treat them fairly, and you don't tend to get legal problems, in my view.